helpful tool for developing dexterity and technique. The question is, who is right? Is hand helpful, or is it hogwash? From my experience, it can be helpful, but you have to approach it the right way. So before we even get to any music, we have to read this preface. The study of the piano is nowadays so general, and good pianists are so numerous, that mediocrity on this instrument is no longer endured. In consequence, one must study the piano 8 or 10 years before venturing to perform a piece of any difficulty, even at a gathering of amateurs. Now, how few persons are in a position to devote so many years to this study? It often happens, therefore, that for want of sufficient practice the playing is uneven and incorrect. The left hand gives out in passages of slight difficulty. The fourth and fifth fingers are almost useless for a lack of special exercises for these fingers, which are always weaker than the rest, and when passages in octaves, in tremolo, or trills occur, they are usually executed only by dint of exertion and fatigue, so that performance is very incorrect and wholly wanting in expression. For several years we have labored to overcome this state of affairs, making it our aim to unite in one work special exercises which render possible a complete course of pianistic study in far less time. To attain this end, it sufficed to find the solution of the following problem. If all 5 fingers of the hand were absolutely equally well trained, they would be ready to execute anything written for the instrument, and the only question remaining would be that of fingering, which could be readily solved. We have found the solution to this problem in our work, The Virtuoso Pianist, in 60 exercises, etc. In this volume will be found the exercises necessary for the acquirement of agility, independence, strength, and perfect evenness in the fingers, as well as suppleness of the wrists, all indispensable qualities for fine execution. These exercises are interesting and do not fatigue the student like the generality of 5-fingered exercises, which are so dry that one requires the perseverance of a true artist to summon up courage to study them. These exercises are written in such a manner that after having read them a few times, they can be played in quite a rapid movement. They thus become an excellent practice for the fingers, and one loses no time in studying them. If desired, any of these exercises may be played on several pianos simultaneously, rousing a spirit of emulation among the students and habituating them to ensemble playing. All descriptions of difficulties will be met with. The exercises are so arranged that in each successive number the fingers are rested from the fatigue caused by the one preceding. The result of this combination is that all mechanical difficulties are executed without effort or weariness, and after such practice the fingers attain to astonishing facility of execution. This work is intended for all piano pupils. It may be taken up after the pupil has studied about a year. As for more advanced students, they will study it in a very short time and will thereafter never experience the stiffness which may have been previously felt in fingers or wrists. This will render them capable of surmounting the principal mechanical difficulties. Pianists and teachers who cannot find time for sufficient practice to keep up their playing need only to play these exercises a few hours in order to regain all the dexterity of their fingers. This entire volume can be played through in an hour, and if, after it has been thoroughly mastered, it be repeated daily for a time, difficulties will disappear as if by enchantment, and that beautiful, clear, clean, pearly execution will have been acquired, which is the secret of distinguished artists. Finally, we offer this work as giving the key to all mechanical difficulties. We therefore consider that we are rendering a real service to young pianists, to teachers, and to the directors of boarding schools in proposing their adoption of our work, The Virtuoso Pianist. So we should clear up some misconceptions here. Overall, based on this preface, it seems that Hannon operates under the notion that weakness in the fingers causes difficulty in piano playing for newcomers. This simply isn't true. Our fingers and arms already possess way more strength than is necessary to play even the most difficult passages. Hannon would have you play these exercises continuously, without stopping, which you should never do unless you want to risk injuring yourself, in the hopes that your fingers would get stronger. After doing enough dexterity exercises, your fingers might feel stronger, but this is simply because of increased blood flow, not because your fingers have developed muscle. Then we get to this first exercise, which everyone knows. There's 59 more, just like this one. For example, So right off the bat, we have a few issues. For one, every single exercise is in C major. These exercises, as they come, will do nothing to prepare you for playing other keys. As it is, hand only has you working on the white keys. This facilitates mindless practice. You're not really engaged in what you're doing, so you tune out and the practicing becomes pointless. Another issue, the hands always mirror each other. So these exercises are all in C major, and they The vast majority of melodies are made up of some kind of scale patterns. Practicing scale patterns will better prepare you for playing melodies, in addition to just playing scales in a they do nothing to help your hand independence. So
today we're going to be dealing with some controversial subjects because there ain't no controversy like a piano teacher controversy. Here we go. So in the piano world, a hot topic of discussion is on the validity of Hanon and Czerny exercises. So Hanon and Czerny were basically two dudes from back in the day, 1800s, who wrote a whole bunch of finger exercises or, you know, like technical drills. So there's some people who were like, man, these drills are awesome, they make you a better piano player, and then there's some people who are like, they're horrible, they should never be done, they're going to hurt your hands and train you to be a good little robot. So I'm going to try to sit somewhere in the middle of these two opinions and provide a balanced approach to the whole situation so you get both sides of information. So I'm not gonna try to slant your opinion or anything. But at the same time, I do have an opinion too, and I will not hold back from sharing it. So for a little bit of background information, Karl Czerny was a teacher and composer, but he was also a student of Beethoven's, which is kind of like a fun fact. And they were pretty close. Czerny taught Beethoven's nephew, and he knew how to play a whole bunch of Beethoven music by heart and often performed it. But he wasn't himself like this crazy innovative composer. He was a great teacher, and he wrote a lot of music for teaching, not for the general public to appreciate his new and exciting music. Well, Charles Louis Hanon, I don't know French. I'm Canadian, but I don't know French. He wrote a really famous book called The Virtuoso Pianist in 60 Exercises, I believe it was called. And it's basically, it starts at kind of an elementary level and progresses in difficulty. And they're just finger exercises to make your fingers better. They develop skills like crossing your thumb under your fingers or trills, stuff like that. Okay, so the pro-Czerny and Hanon camp, the argument is that by learning finger drills to work on very specific technical problems, you cover all your bases. Whereas if you just learn songs and pieces, you might not develop you might not develop to your full technical potential because there's going to be gaps in your knowledge. So say for example, a Hanon exercise might be to get really good at doing trills. And then by that point, if you've mastered the trill because of a Hanon exercise, when you get to a Bach piece that uses trills, it's totally doable instead of having this huge learning curve when you start the Bach piece. So a proponent of doing finger drills and exercises was Franz Liszt, the famous composer. You probably heard the name. And what he would do to alleviate the boredom of playing repetitive finger exercises, he would actually read books while he played piano. And he would tell his students to do the same. So there's that. Now, the anti-Czerny Hanon camp tends to say that robotic, or my words are getting ahead of my thoughts are getting ahead of my words. They tend to say that your performances will end up being robotic if you practice in a robotic way. So that if you just do finger drills without investing any, without bringing the richness of your own human experience into it, if you just kind of disconnect mind from body, then that's going to lead to lifeless playing. So a proponent of not doing a whole lot of those finger exercises was Frédéric Chopin, who, again, famous composer. You probably know the guy. And he was a big fan of teaching concepts and techniques from songs themselves, and he really placed an emphasis on playing with musicality instead of just repetitive drills. So to oversimplify and to be diplomatic for a second here, there is validity to both sides, because here you've got Chopin and here you've got Liszt, and they're both great composers, they were great piano players, they clearly knew what they were doing. So, I mean, they couldn't have more polarized teaching and learning philosophies. So that's got to say something about how there is valid points. And it's not like one camp is completely wrong and one camp is completely right. But to insert my own opinion here now, and to be completely honest, I tend to side more with Chopin on this one. I hate robotic playing. The thought of sitting down and playing like drills, I do not have the patience for it. Even just thinking about that makes me not want to go play piano, and that kind of defeats the point, I think. So to me, it's like if what you're doing is so boring that you need to read a book while you do it, it's maybe not such a great idea. But I tend to believe that playing piano or any musical instrument is a full body experience as opposed to just your limbs. And I think your brain should be involved in the process too, because otherwise what's the point? You're just being a robot. But here's where I think that you can't lump Czerny and Hanon in the same boat, because Hanon's exercises are infamous for being unmusical. They just don't sound good. If you don't believe me, you look it up on YouTube and listen to like some Hanon exercises. They're not pretty. But Czerny exercises, on the other hand, do sound musical because he disguises the exercises in the form of a piece. So you're actually, when you learn a Czerny exercise, you're not just doing a drill, you're learning a song. And it requires your brain and your limbs to perform at maximum capacity. So I think that they're very different, and I am pretty anti-Hanon, but I'm pretty pro-Czerny. So yeah, in the end, I really like Czerny, don't really like Hanon. That's them apples. Czerny's songs and exercises have all the benefit of Hanon's with way less of the boredom. Plus, he's got so much music. He has like 1 million books and 1 million songs to choose from. Whereas with Hanon, there's only 60 exercises, and I'm just bored with the thought. Just thinking about Hanon just makes me super bored. But Czerny has great music, and yeah, you can do everything with him. He's your bro. He's got your back. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter. So, are you pro-Czerny or pro-Hanon or anti-both or anything like that? I want you to share your thoughts with me and add to the controversy. I'm trying not to be quite so controversial today, so hopefully we can all have a nice, polite discussion while sipping tea and tut-tutting without being too fierce and judgmental, as this sometimes can happen with, YouTube and piano teaching. It's fierce sometimes. It's fierce sometimes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, visit the website, all that jazz. Thanks for hanging out, and see you next time.
I don't have anything funny to say, but I will show you a warm and happy cat in the sun. Can you hear that purring? So much purring. Oh, now you're gonna eat my foot. That's a yummy foot there. That's a ladylike pose, Tsunami.
Исполняйте мечты близких вместе с Samsung Galaxy и получайте подарки. При покупке смартфона Galaxy Z Flip 3
Нет, она имеет в виду народу, народу, да, он это имел в виду. Ну, народу.
Hello, Corey here from the Box Scholar channel. Thank you for joining me today. I'd like to thank everyone for viewing my videos, especially my faithful subscribers on YouTube. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be doing this, so I really thank you for your support. This video is a very interesting one. It's a tutorial on a technical exercise often called the Tausig exercise, named after the very famous and legendary pianist Karl Tausig. Karl Tausig was born in 1841, lived till 1871, died at a young